Hey, great to have you here. So I'm going to do something a little bit different with this video. I'm going to be talking about a trip I recently took, and this is probably going to be my last Halloween related video for the year. This one's covering the Screams Halloween theme park. So I recently went to this park, just wanted to do a video quickly talking about it. I'll probably throw some photos of my experience in this video as well. Ultimately, we get there, and I've taken a look a little bit at the map of the layout, and there's 5 different attractions. So those are the first things I make sure I want to hit because that's typically where you're going to be waiting for lines. So there's 2 that really stick out to me as far as of interest. There's the castle and then there's the zombie one. We make the decision to go to the zombie one first. I hadn't really done haunted theme parks in the past. I think the most I really had ever done when it came to haunted houses was went to one of those at like a fair at some point in the past, but don't have a big history with going to these. I know this specific location also has the Renaissance Festival. A lot of the same decorations they wind up using, and it's really effective here for a Halloween purpose. You're waiting outside and they're up on like the castle yelling down at you. They open up the gates and we make the decision to go to the Zombie Wasteland Apocalypse first. Got there pretty early, so got in really fast. Really enjoyed going through that one. It was kind of as you would expect with a zombie vibe to it. There's like barrels, a lot of loud noises going on. There was specifically one moment where there was like a flashing light and I was super worried someone was gonna pop out there because I could not see anything at that point in time. But got through that one and really enjoyed that one as far as our first experience going through one of these haunted attractions. From there, we decided to go into Clowns 3D since it was right next door to it. We actually saw one of the clowns at the back end of the zombie one. They have an interesting setup which works really well where they have 2 different attractions and 2 different attractions that end at the same routes. So the zombie one and the clown one ended at the same spot. So we kind of saw the back end of that. And since it was over in the same spot of the park, we decided, hey, let's get in line for that one. That one went pretty quick as well. I will say it was a 3D experience, which was really awesome, but I am not the best with like motion sickness and kind of the visual all over the place that things like this wind up having. So there was specifically one part where we're like crossing a bridge that's like moving left and right and the walls are spinning and you're wearing these 3D glasses. I thought I was gonna get super sick at that point in time. I was just like, all right, we gotta get through this. But other than that, really enjoyed that attraction as well and had a lot of clowns as you would expect, kind of popping out here and there with a lot of noises. Great visuals there with having the 3D glasses. Everything was really popping out like bright orange colors and things like that. After doing that one, we decided to head over to the Terra Mythica Castle, which is our 3rd attraction there. That one at this point in time had a pretty lengthy line. It seemed like this castle was the most popular choice. Obviously it has the biggest like external presence with like the big castle gates that you see as you're walking up to it. So we waited in line for a little bit. Really enjoyed that one too. It's as you would kind of expect with a nights and just spooky people going around this castle. You're like walking over a bridge at one point and there's like fog going through. Really great experience. There was a moment where somebody was sitting perfectly still. They looked like they were an animatronic or like some prop. And then they suddenly moved at you. And so really well done as far as the actors. And I think overall across the board, just really enjoyed that one. You always get that situation where you're walking and you see something to one side and you're like, I can tell that's a prop, but I'm gonna be mindful of that being a distraction for something else that's gonna pop out. So overall, great experience there. We then moved to the Time's Up Maze. This one had a relatively short line. It was a different vibe than the other haunted attractions that we had been through at this point. Those were more you're going through and people are popping out here and there. More people in there and you're kind of backtracking. So you're running across more people than actors. Honestly, the biggest frustration with that one was it was your typical corn maze almost, but it was in a more industrial type setup where there's just like fences and walls that were blocking you in and you're just trying to find your way out. You would be going one direction, you would have somebody in front of you and they would turn around and they're like, oh, dead end this way. So you would just take their word for it and you would try to find another way out. Then you go that way and you find out that way didn't work. Eventually, I decided that, you know what? I'm just gonna listen to myself. If somebody says dead end, I'm gonna go double check it because it was getting to the point, it was a little frustrating. I was like, I feel like we're never gonna get out of this place. I did wind up seeing some people take the emergency exit. I think they were just not able to find their way out and they're just like, I can't do this anymore. But we wound up sticking through it and eventually got our way out of there. Once we started just deciding, hey, let's just check certain routes and not just rely on multiple people because you have some people saying this is a dead end, then you go the other way and you say this is a dead end. So decided to just focus on let's figure it out and confirm ourselves and get the layout of the exact maze itself as opposed to just kind of aimlessly walking around. So got out of that one, thought it was okay overall. And then from there, the last one to go through was the Bootlegger's Bayou. And this is kind of your Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe where it's like your Southern United States swampy vibe where a lot of the actors in this one, you assume they're supposed to be dressed up as some kind of like cannibal, wearing like these aprons and just really unhinged people as opposed to something like zombies where they're supposed to be infected. These are supposed to be people that are just crazy at this point. So went through that one. There's definitely a lot of people like chasing and running around. I feel like the big thing is if you're actually afraid of some of these things, make sure you don't run, because when you typically run, that's when you get the attention of some of the actors and they will chase you. So if you're scared, I think your best bet is to actually just say, you know what, I'm gonna suck it up and pretend like I'm all okay. So got through that one. Those are the 5 attractions overall. We wound up going back to the zombie one a little bit later on. The lines for that one were pretty low, so we wound up going back to it and had a probably better experience even the second time. There was a point in time where we walked to a point and there's a guy on the right as an actor and he's like, hey, watch your step here, people are falling down. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then immediately someone I left popped out and scared the people behind me, and just, it was hilarious just to see kind of they were definitely trying to play a trap for us almost, where, hey, get your focus over here, and over here is where the jump scare is gonna come from. So I just had a great time overall with each of the attractions. If I was giving them a ranking, I would say my favorite was probably the Zombie Apocalypse. Second up is probably the Terra Mythica Castle. And third, I'll probably give the Clowns 3D. I will say I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I didn't have a bit of that motion sickness with the 3D, but I can appreciate the quality in the attraction itself and say, even though I didn't have the best time because of the 3D and getting a little bit sick, I think it was a well put together attraction. We'll put that one at number 3. Number 4, we'll go with the Bayou. I think it did a lot of things well, but I think the other ones really stuck out. And then the 5th one, probably the Maze, just because that one was the least attraction. It was more just self-guided, trying to go through this and find a way out. And there were definitely some people that were frustrated and not being able to get out. So it definitely met its point as far as being an effective maze, I would say. From there, other things to point out about this theme park, they obviously have a variety of shops and souvenirs. There's the official shop that has a lot of things that are mostly Screams theme park branded. So it's like logos on cups and shirts and so forth. Really like this one shirt, but unfortunately they were sold out of it in my size. So a lot of people must have liked that one. Other than that, they had a lot of shops as well from different vendors. They had different things like dolls or like dream catchers or little like scenes and just different little knickknacks here and there for decorations and things like that. Really enjoyed a lot of those, especially the IP branded ones. Like there was a little Scream lamp that I was tempted to pick up. So a lot of good things in the variety of shops. Next up would be food. We didn't try everything, but it's more or less your typical fair food type experience where there's a variety of options available. We mostly got things like pizza. Not a whole lot of unique things that we necessarily tried, but it definitely was your typical fair experience and provided a good meal when it was needed. In addition to food, with this being similar to like a fair type vibe, there was games you could play like shooting baskets and going down a slide and hitting a hammer, like typical type of games you would see at a fair, and this one being more Halloween themed specifically though. So really cool stuff there. They also had a variety of other events that were there going on, like Scarioke, so it's just karaoke obviously in a Halloween setting. They also had trivia. They had a really cool show by, I think the group was called the Hell Dolls, who were like doing things with fire and doing a lot of gymnastics type moves and acrobatic things. Really impressive maneuvers that they were doing up there. And then they had black and white movies going on in a couple different locations, different photo ops throughout the park. I would say probably beyond the attractions themselves, the whole park ambiance was what really carried the experience and what really made it a great experience overall. It definitely just felt like a good vibe. I had never really gone to a Halloween park growing up, but it felt like I had a nostalgic vibe even without having done so. It just felt like you were in a Halloween environment in its entirety. The actors were really cool. They were really great. They were fun to like interact with and talk to. Seeing them kind of pop out and jump and scare people was also awesome to see. Beyond that, just the props and the decor across the place was really amazing. As mentioned, this is a Renaissance festival other times of the year in the spring, but they really turned this into a Halloween town to its perfection. And then just things like the lights boulevard that they have. So they have like this walkway with these glowing lights. Almost looks like it'd be effective as like a Christmas park if they did something like that. But you're just kind of walking under these lights and it's playing music and going to the beat of the song. Really cool experience. Just the entire park vibe was awesome to experience. And it's something I really enjoyed. If you like going to these or you haven't gone to one, I definitely recommend checking it out. You're going to have a great time. Whether you like the attractions, the events they have there, the food and games, the shops, or just the whole vibe of being in a Halloween themed park. Definitely recommend you check them out in the future. It's an experience I really had a great time. I would definitely give it a 10 out of 10 experience overall. I would definitely recommend going, and I'm definitely planning to go back some point in the future just because of how much fun we wound up having, and it was an awesome time as somebody who enjoys Halloween. So that's the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me talking about this experience. Yeah, just leave some comments down below, your thoughts on it, or just maybe your experience with going through any haunted theme parks by you or any recommendations of ones that you've had a good time with. So overall, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you again soon.